as well as both programs, obviously. I know it's not easy to get out of your schedules during the day here, but we appreciate it. Yeah, exciting times for us as we gear up. We've got a number of new faces, both as players, both as staff. Obviously, the excitement surrounding our men's program and obviously for both programs going into the year. So there's been a lot of things percolating over the last months and last few weeks. So practice has been certainly spirited and tested early. I think last year we didn't see that as much right away, but when you look at our schedule, we've got to go to Harvard and Quinnipiac. Those are both extremely good programs that are tricky games that will test us early out of the gate. And then obviously Oklahoma State, who will be a tournament team probably this year, and we have them here on the home court, which will be exciting for us. So lots of good things. Obviously moving forward, we got some new staff members. Brought Vanessa Abel in from Duquesne, who's been great with our players. Mike Gibson is now our director of ops, who's a veteran in the game and has done a terrific job. And then also we brought back Joe Tartamella, who was with me for a number of years, and brought him back in a kind of a dual position. Something that I hope we'll continue to have at some point. And as much as I look at Skyle and Jayla, I look at Kadeja Bailey, who was here for 5 years. You need Drake, who was here for 5 years, and they'll probably be the only ones that were in terms of moving forward. But no, I think you have to lean on those players. I think that just shows the experience that they've had here, the trust they've had in us. And now is their time to be able to step up and play. But it certainly makes it easier in many ways. I think for some players it's great because you know what they're capable of and they know what you're looking for. And then other times they just get you frustrated because you know it makes you mad at the things that they do. But I think for Sky and Jayla, we need them to be great and to be great leaders, whether that's communicative or in just how they play. And so they will be a big part of our success in terms of our ability to win games. So, and if we don't, if you look at the new kids we brought in, Samaya Wyatt, we call her Nunu. She was the freshman of the year in the Atlantic Sun. I think she'll be a player who people will really enjoy watching play. Brings us a different type of look inside that we probably didn't have as much maybe last year, more like we had with Jillian and Raven. But she's a great player. I think she's going to be a standout for us. We need her to play well. But I like what I've seen from her. Danny Albies came from Miami. She was hurt all year last year. Played at Wichita State before that. A lot of energy, good rebounder. Again, fortifies us up front. And she's doing well. She basically hasn't played in a year, so for her, she's still getting acclimated. Shalana Wagner, top 10 in assists in the country last year. Can be dynamic on the offensive end for us to be able to help kind of control the floor. Brings a great competitiveness with her, and she's a funny kid. I mean, she brings some personality, which I think you need. So her charisma, hopefully, will be infectious for us. Brooke Moore came from Liberty, played in the tournament last year in that game against Kentucky where they almost beat them. Long guard, terrific defensively. She's been a pretty good surprise for us so far. So we look forward to seeing what she'll be able to do. Beautiful was the top-rated JUCO kid out of Wabash Valley. She missed this summer. She was working academically, so she's still getting her feet under her. But I think when she does, she can be somebody who can be really an impact for us. So we've been happy with her as well. Great offensive player. Again, a longer guard. And then Kyla Hayes is our one freshman, who, if you talk to her, you won't think she's a freshman. I've had a lot over the years, and if you watch her practice and how she carries herself, she's ahead of the game. So she's taken some pretty good steps forward to possibly cracking through here and giving us some contributions early in her career. Again, I think our identity has always been, built upon how hard we play, and I think everything for us always starts on the defensive end. And I think anything I've always said is we're going to be combative and competitive in every aspect, and we're trying to take people out of what they want to do, and we're defending to get on offense. And so I think in terms of how we want to play is always with that edge. I've always told them that, you got to make people care about what you're doing in terms of how you play. Your identity is what you look like on film. And so I think in all the years you guys have watched our program, I think that sticks out for everyone, and so we're going to continue to do those things and stand by those things every single day in terms of being able to get out and guard and compete at the highest level, and know that every time you play us, it's going to be hard as hell. We do use the guard. You know, and I say this all the time, when we have recruits on campus, that's probably one of the biggest parts of our visit, and the guard's been great with having us in and being able to show them the experience that they will have. Last year we played Butler there, and I don't know if I'm allowed to say anything about this year, but we do plan on playing this year as well. So we've played a game a year. In the past, we've also had opportunities to play there twice. I do think it's a huge component to what we do. It has to make sense, obviously, from the standpoint of the university, but the hardest part, you know, in getting in there at times is just the way the schedule lands with the pro teams, the men's team, and how they can turn it over. But I do think the league, I think the Big East, who I think should be very supportive of us playing there in terms of putting a spotlight on our program and on the Big East on the women's side. I think it would be very conducive to play as many games as we can that were obviously fiscally feasible. And I think, you know, you've got to do it in certain ways. I think the way we package it is important in terms of how we sell it. But yeah, I think when you bring a recruit in there, because I've coached in there 14 times probably, it never gets old. It's very different. And people try to recruit and say, hey, well, they only play there once. Well, you know, it's one more time that you get to play in there. And it is still our home court in terms of our partnership with them. So the short answer is yes. Look, we've tried, you know, like I said, it's how you package it, right? So we've tried different conversations with the Garden. I've had conversations with Gino in regards to trying to do a showcase of some sort. It's kind of like the old, we used to do the Maggie-Dixon Classic. We didn't do it, but the Maggie-Dixon Classic was great. We had 4 teams in there. We played Duke in there, Baylor at the time when they had Griner. And it brought in a lot of really great teams to play. You're trying to find teams that travel well with fans, obviously. But there's a lot that goes into that. So certainly we're trying to put things together. A lot of things have to align for that to happen. But I do think there's a possibility in the future to do that, yeah.